Welcome to Win with Service, the service blueprint. Your strategies to prevail and win massively in business, big or small. This is part 1 of the presentation. In this part, we are going to cover modules 1 to 4. In part 2, we'll cover modules 5 to 10. Focus on the customer and the way they feel about or perceive your service is the most powerful force that determines whether you win or lose in business today. This seminar is for all those who are ready to take the service bull by the horn. We have lined up many actionable steps you can take immediately you finish listening to put the ideas into action. As a matter of fact, we have not shared these ideas elsewhere before, so you are the pioneers. So welcome. My name is Paul Uduk. I'm the founder of Vision and Talent, the management consultancy. We aim to crystallize vision and actualize talents. I'm a seminar leader. Typically in a year, I run up to 50 seminars on various topics, including customer service, which is really our forte. Our clients include some of the biggest banks in Nigeria and some of the biggest manufacturing companies in the country. I'm the author of several books, one of which you can see right on the left there, Bridges to the Customer's Heart, which is actually on service excellence. So what will you really learn in Win with Service, the service blueprint? A lot of things. You learn how to master service and become a service zealot. You will be really inspired and motivated to go out there and die for the customer. Know how to compete with service. Make your people engaged and customer-centric. Then turn your customers into evangelists, willing to sing your praises to the ends of the world. Also learn how to what to measure. Learn how to look for ideas in unlikely places, and then recover strongly or stronger when you stumble. Explore the secrets of the extras, because in customer service, little things means a lot. Then execute with precision. This has to do with leadership, because as they say in customer service that's in the boardroom. And at the end of it too, you learn the next steps to becoming unstoppable, because when you are really fired up in service, you become unstoppable. Nobody can really stop you. In this part, we are going to cover modules 1 to 4. In part 2, we'll cover modules 5 to 10. So let's dive straight to module 1. Welcome to the age of the customer. Love the customer or perish. Yes, love the customer or perish. It's that simple. The corporate cemetery is full of companies that could not adjust to the new reality and paid the supreme price. The latest, of course, is Kodak, a company we all grew to admire, but could not really adjust to the new reality and was stopped on its tracks by Instagram. So you really need to understand what's going on out there and adjust your strategies to the customer. Looking at the 5 ages of civilization, we are now in what we call the customer age. Some people call it the age of wisdom. Starting with, far back when we started off as hunter-gatherers, we passed through the agricultural age, you all know, and then we entered the industrial age. The industrial age gave way towards the end of the Second World War, and moved into the knowledge age, which really the landmark of the knowledge age was the landing of man on the moon in 1969, And now we are in the age of wisdom, where knowledge is available everywhere. But making meaning this knowledge is really the issue. Welcome to the age of the customer. These are the 5 ages of civilization. And if you do not really attune to the new age of wisdom, you are going to stumble massively. This age does not is no respecter of size, no matter how big, whether as big as IBM or General Motors, no one really cares if you cannot focus on the customer. So the 4 eras of the industrial age move from the era of manufacturing. If you can remember, Ford Motor Company, which started production around 1903 or so, that was the era of manufacturing, which extended up to the early 60s when we entered the era of distribution. Then we moved to the era of information. This was still in the industrial age, and we are now in the era of the customer, highly empowered buyers that demand that you focus on them. If you cannot do this, you cannot focus on the customer, you are not likely to really live very, very long. Companies like Apple, Southwest Airlines, to a lesser extent, Amazon is doing this very, very well. So they are growing at a terrific rate. Actually, this illustration is borrowed from Harley Manning and Kerry Putin of Forrester Research in their latest book, Outside In: The Power of Putting Customers at the Center of Your Business. So, what does the era of the customer really mean? Why is the era of the customer different? The era of the customer is very, very different because of so many forces that are beyond the control of one company. Distance is stage, as we said. With the touch of a button, you can communicate with anybody in the world. The world is a global village. Interplane in New York, within 6 hours you are in London. Information glut. There's information everywhere. We live in the age of abundance. We live in the age of abundance. In fact, despite pockets of poverty here and there, generally the world is full of abundance. The type of life we live today, in fact, our forefathers could not even dream of. Could not even dream. There is no house today that you will not see a color TV, refrigerator. I mean, so really now we search for meaning. How do we really interpret it all? So the question people continually ask, that you must ask when you are trying to serve the customer, is what is in it for the customer? What is in it for me? That's what the customer will ask you. What is it? It's it for me. The age of abundance, this global overcapacity, this product glut, this unlimited choices. So spiritual search for meaning. Abraham, of course, remember Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. People are looking for self-actualization. So nobody will take mediocre service. If you are getting away with mediocre service in this era of the customer, you're just buying time, because you'll be blown away very, very soon. So what are customers looking for? Customers look for 3 things. Just 3 things in this era. Speed. We are, for the corporate company, we call this agility. Customers look for comfort, and of course instant gratification. Like it or not, you must go out there to meet the customer's needs. If you want to do it according to your own law, the customer will not accept it. You must do it from the outside in, from the perspective of the customer. Everything you do, every policy, every strategy, whatever you do, it must be done from the outside in perspective, from the position of the customer, from the perspective of the customer. If you do not do that and you are getting away with it, think again. You cannot serve the customer with speed and agility. You cannot create enough ambience, comfort, making it easy to do business with you. You are buying time, and you pay a very terrible price. So who will die? Who will survive in the age of the customer? Who will die? Who will survive in the age of the customer? Andy Grove, the co-founder of Intel, puts it very mildly or bluntly: only the paranoid survive. Only the paranoid survive. So the question, who will die, who will survive in the age of the customer, must continually agitate your mind. Remember, and the group, the co-founder of Intel, said only the paranoid survive. The memorable story is told how Andy and the co-founder, I think what month it was, symbolically fired themselves, and they hired themselves by walking out of the door and then coming back in, and then decided to do away with the manufacture of memory chips in place of microprocessors. This when Intel was facing terrible competition from the Japanese, that Intel had to do something, either to decide to do away with their memory chips or go out of business. So, are you prepared to do that? Are you prepared to fire yourself, reinvent yourself every day? So organizations that will die are the organizations that have been operating with the industrial era mindsets, organizations that regard people as a resource, can be fired and whatever, organizations that love themselves more than they love their clients. Such organizations will not survive for very, very long, I can assure you. So who are the organizations that will survive? These are organizations that know their why for existence, what we call their why for existence. Organizations that know their why for existence. Why are you there? Are you just there out to make profits? If that is the short-term mission you have, then it is very short-term. You will not survive for long. Organizations that will survive will be organizations that put their people first, their employees first. There's no contradiction there, because customer service also really has focus on the customer, focus on the employees, the two sides of the same coin. Organizations that will survive, organizations that with customer-centric mindsets that put the customers first in the center of their strategy. So you've got it there, 3 organizations that will fail and 3 organizations that will survive. I believe that you will be in the group that will survive by putting your people first, by being customer-centric and knowing the why for your existence. So welcome to the age of the customer, where the customer really determines who stays, who goes, where people are the propellants of success. Your people, your staff are the propellants of your success, and you must treat them as you would love to be treated. You must treat them as human beings, where service design makes a huge difference. Steve Jobs said some people think that service design is about how it looks, and he says a funny word. Service design is really about how it works. You design your service in such a way that the customer finds it very, very easy to do business with you. Welcome to the age of the customer, where strategy without execution means failure. Strategy without execution is just entertainment. Welcome to the age of the customer, where agility, speed, and action are the cash in the bank. If you cannot meet these criteria, my friend, you will not survive for long. So let's see what we need to do. How do we model our service? Deciding how we wish to compete. Modeling service, deciding how we wish to compete. So how do you really define your market in the area of the customer? How do you define your market in the area of the customer? Do you define your market as the railroads? You see yourselves as railroads? Or do you see yourself as being in transportation business? It's a very, very crucial differences, because if you see yourself as the railroads, then you will not be able to do the massive jump from railroad to air travel, and you'll be stuck and you become almost forgotten unless you can reinvent yourself. Think of Kodak, founded in 1878 by Eastman Kodak. The mission to make photography as convenient as the pencil. Today, Kodak is gone thanks to Instagram, because Kodak could not reinvent itself. Kodak just could not reinvent itself. They believed that they were in the film business, that they were in the photography business. They believed they were in the film business. They did all kinds of things that, it's not the film, it's the photograph that I'm looking for. So if there are ways you can make photograph without going through films, you must be able to reinvent yourself, and unfortunately, Kodak couldn't see it. Another company that has managed to survive is Xerox, but we know how far Xerox has come. Xerox was so bad that at a point in time, they even adopted an advertising or a tagline that said, "We taught the world how to copy." Who cares? Who cares that you taught the world how to copy? If your photocopy machines continue to break down every now and then your rivals from Japan, Canon, and so on and so forth, and Sharp, will not breaking down. So teaching the world how to copy is neither here nor there. So you need to define your market with the customer in mind from the outside in position. How to position your business. You need to define your bundle of value to the customer. What's bundle of value in terms of speed, in terms of better value, in terms of let's look at 3 companies. Is it in terms of speed? Look at like FedEx. This out there when it absolutely positively has to be there overnight. Of course, they have other variants of this, but here they emphasize speed. Compare that to US Post or any other post office where you have to wait for about 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get your listing. So when you in the era of globalization, that things need to be very fast. Of course, I want that parcel as fast as possible. So FedEx position itself as somebody that can deliver me that parcel within a twinkle of an eye. Of course, I will go to FedEx, and I will not go to US Post. And then, of course, if somebody that like Lost Food paid you chicken, this is how they say it. It takes a tough man to make a tender chicken. Would you go for any other chicken? That is the value you are delivering to the customer. So you must position yourself in such a way that you are able to define your bundle of value to the customer. In the luxury car division, one of the best adverts that I like is that of Lexus. And of course, you know the story of Lexus. If you do not know, you can read it up somewhere. The tagline, the relentless pursuit of perfection. That's how they position themselves. So everything about Lexus, the ambience, elegance, design, aerodynamics, everything is beautiful. So once again, how do you position yourself? Do you position yourself in such a way that you give more value to the customer than the customer asks for, or you try to shortchange the customer? You need to really position your business in such a way that the customer finds it easy to do business with you. Customer is getting superior value. Value is really the relationship between cost and price and what the customer gets at the end. So if the customer gets something of superior value at a price he believes that is low, the customer believes that he is having superior value. But if he gets something that Relative, because everything is about perception. It's relative. I believe it's relatively expensive, but the value is not worth that. It's not that high. God believes that it's getting inferior value. So always think in terms of value to the customer, in terms of that extra that makes your value superior to the value of the competition. So you really need to understand what customers buy. What do they buy? Customer buys only two things: solutions to problems and good feelings. If you are not able to supply those two things, you have not started. You need to go back to the drawing boards. You need to go back to drawing boards. So what are the solutions customers look for? Customers look for, number one, increased productivity. Does your service, does your product help customer increase its productivity? If yes, you have it very well. If it's no, then you need to go back to the drawing board. Does your product help the customer reduce costs? They're looking for reduced costs. What of yields, relationship between input and output? Facilitate higher yields for the customer. What of simplicity? Is it easy? Does it take ages to even understand how to use your product or your service? Do I need to call a lawyer? Do I need to call an engineer to come and teach me how to use your product? If it's not simple, you need to go back to the drawing board. It should be very simple. Well, I'm not advertising iPhone here, but look at iPhone, the standard for elegance. Then, of course, let's talk about speed. Does your product help me to increase my speed? Does your product help me to do things faster? And then, of course, responsiveness. Can you really respond to my request within the twinkle of an eye? Fast responsiveness. Or do I have to wait and be pleading? You are thinking that you are doing me a favor. Companies that have that mindset, that doing the customer a favor, will not survive for long. Responsiveness is very, very critical. Okay, let's look at the good feelings that people buy. Some of the good feelings, of course, the first is, of course, the totality of experience. The totality of experience. If you are a service company, what is the totality of experience? If you are a manufacturing company, there are no more manufacturing companies basically these days. Everybody's into service. What is the experience one gets by buying your products? What prestige does it accord me? Do I feel a sense of class by using your product, by using your service? Am I excited? Does it create excitement? Does it put me in a comfortable place? So this comfort, peace of mind, and convenience, these are the good feelings people buy. Don't you ever forget, do not compromise on this and believe that it's a waste of money. You will be pound foolish and penny wise. You do not go that extra mile to ensure your product, your service incorporates all these feelings. So be careful as you consider your next product and service. So what we really say here now is that what you do, what you think you do, the way you define your service is dead. The way you define, if you say you are into banking, there's nothing like banking. There's nothing like insurance. You are not in banking. You are not in insurance. You are not a brewery company. You are not in the phone business. You are in the business of providing people with excitement, providing people with class, providing people with experience, providing people with prestige. So you are not in the business of banking, in the business of creating excitement. If you cannot design your service in such a way that the customer feels a sense of belonging. If, for instance, you are a bank and you cannot, what do banks stand for? What service do banks provide? Banks provide, first and foremost, credit. I mean, we talk about taking money from support business units or economy units to giving it to deficit business units. What is that? Is that not credit? If they are a bank and you are not able to configure or do things in such a way that customers are able to borrow seamlessly from you and just picking profits or fees from non-core credit activities. I don't think it's really sustainable. You need to go back to the drawing board. Well, is that my personal opinion? So for you to really survive in this new era, you must be precise in selecting your customers. It is very, very critical. Just as you should be precise in selecting your service staff, your service providers, your employees, you must be precise. You cannot afford to be all things to all men. So that's why we say why precision in customer selection is the most important strategy of all. You cannot afford to be everything to all men. Select your customers with care and precision. Customers that you know that you cannot provide the type of service that they want should not be part of your customer universe. Select them. Of course, you must have brainstormed the bundle of service, and you need to look for that particular market niche that will be willing to pay for your service, because we talk about value, but all the same, we say give customers your superior service and they'll be glad and willingly pay for it. Customer will be willing to pay for good service. So do not pinch on price and then give customers inferior service. Go out there, give customers what they want, charge your price appropriately, customer will be willing to pay. They do not give customers mediocre service and then charging the customer so high. So in this age of high tech, where everything is, we say, is computerized, beware. High tech era requires high tech touch. John Naisbitt, the guru that looks into the future, of course, has been talking about this for many years in his Megatrends, 10 New Directions Transform Our Lives, and then a recent book by same man, John Naisbitt and Naisbitt, High Tech, High Touch. He really emphasized the need for high touch in the era of high tech. So what I wish to, I need to advise you is that don't allow technology to make you unhuman, or that's my cornish, not inhuman. Don't be a slave to technology. Never, never. Every company now has automatic answering machines, the so-called PABX lines or PABX service, which makes them almost unapproachable. You can't reach any human being with PABX. You are told you are number 100 in the queue and you are taken around and round and round and round. What style of service is that? I just stop the temptation, especially if you are a small business. If you have not yet installed one, please scratch the idea. Get someone there to answer the phone. You are creating jobs, and in this stressful world, customers need a human being to talk to. So stop this idea of a PABX and nobody can reach anybody. High tech, high touch. If you believe that high tech cannot go with high touch, you are making a very, very huge mistake. Customers will abandon you. So you need to wrap everything up with your service vision and brand. Service vision and brand image. How do you want to come across? What image will you or should people associate with their company? The caring, customer-centric giant, or the faceless bully just out there to make money? Think hard and fast about the way you wish to position your company and ensure you walk the talk. A company that's written so much on this idea is People in Business, and This is borrowed from their template. This is an integrated brand model for how you really wish to come across, the brand people purchase, and the brand people work for. What is your core proposition? The employer brand position and your customer brand position. As we said, employees and customers are two sides of the same coin. So you must create that brand model that people will be willing to pay for, people will be willing to work for, take a typical example of Apple. All their products, they hardly advertise their products. Once they announce that it's coming out, people line up, the products sell themselves. Really going with what Peter Drucker said, that the whole essence of marketing is to make sales on the industry. The product sells themselves. So you really need to come up and go to the drawing board to come out with a brand model that people can really identify with, people will be willing to pay, people will be willing to do business with, and staff will be happy to work for. That is the whole essence. So let's quickly move to module 3, which we talk about service lottery. How to turn your employees into fans, ready to die for the customer. A few years ago, about 10 years ago, a newspaper carried out a survey asking different groups of people what they felt, what they knew and thought about customer service. And one of the respondents said to him, customer service was going out there to die for the customer. I believe that was a very apt definition. Of course, it's a metaphor. To go out to die for the customer means that you do everything possible to ensure that no customer leaves your company or your service points unsatisfied. You go the extra mile, you go the 10th mile, the 100th mile, the 1000th mile to ensure the customer is satisfied. So let's look at a book came out some years ago called Nurture Source Out Service. So it begins with supercharged employees. I was a little bit skeptical about this idea some years back when I did not really understand customer service. I always felt that customer service started with the external customers. No, customer service starts with the internal customers, because if your internal customers are not happy, are not satisfied, are not excited about the company, they cannot go out there and die for the customer. You cannot give what you do not have. You cannot just give what you do not have. If your staff, that's internal customers, are not excited, are not happy, are not glad, there is no joy, they cannot go out there and die for the customer. That's what service blueprint is all about. You need to create that atmosphere. You need to create those engaged staff that are willing to go out there and die for the customer. So the one question, engaging hearts and minds, the one question you must continually ask your employees. I always ask these questions in my seminars to staff, and it's a question that every staff, every employee getting into a company for the first time should be asked. There's a story behind this question. There's a story, it's an iconic story, apocryphal story, but it actually happened. It was a question that Steve Jobs asked John Sculley. John Sculley was the CEO of PepsiCo, and Steve Jobs, that was one of the preconditions that venture capital companies, that they needed to hire experienced marketing people, experienced sales people to run the company, people more experienced in business to run Apple. So Steve Jobs went out of his way to convince John Sculley to join. Of course, he tried so many times, many months, trying to entice him, trying to cajole him to join Apple, and the man was just unwilling to cooperate. And finally, in one of the last meetings, he just popped out the question, when will you stop making sugar water and come join me change the world? John Scully said it, it was as if somebody hit him below the belt and he felt like vomiting. And of course, as they said, the rest is history. John Scully eventually joined Apple, and you know the story. This is the exact question Steve Jobs actually asked. Said, do you want to sell sugar water for the rest of your life, or come with me and change the world? You know, Apple has always been for a company that was out there to leave a dent on the universe. Leave a dent on the universe, and everything Apple did, everything they manufacture must be insanely great. So, there you are. This is the type of question you must always ask your employees so that they are supercharged. No, making sugar water is not the issue. Making sugar water is not the challenge. To go out there and leave a dent on the universe. When you ask these type of questions, customers and staff become energized and inspired to go out there and give good service. So rewarding employees, pay is not enough. Pay is not enough. Create atmosphere in your company that makes staff excited, that makes employees excited. Make them want to come back to work tomorrow. In fact, John Chambers of Cisco said this: there are very few people at Cisco who don't have the opportunity to leave for a 50% pay raise anytime they want. What keeps them here is that it's fun, it's exciting, and you can make the difference. You can make a difference. So that's create excitement in your company. There's so much excitement in companies. You go there, you see maroon staff, and no one is talking to each other. It's as if you're in a graveyard. I notice this every time I visit companies, and it's really it's unfortunate to say the least. Create excitement, create that atmosphere of find out ways to make staff really engaged and excited, to create engaged employees. And if staff are not engaged, well, I have to assure you that you will not be able to get excited employees. People will not be happy with you. And what what companies really do is that they force commitment. Commitment is different from excitement. Commitment is different from engagement. It is entirely because commitment is forced. Commitment is very different from engagement. Commitment is not engagement. Employee engagement occurs when the goals of the business are aligned with the employee's goals and how the employee spends his or her time. The glue that holds the strategic goals of the employee and the business together is frequent, effective communication that reaches and informs the employee at the level and practice of his or her job. Engaged employees have the information they need to understand exactly and precisely how what they do at work every day affects the company's business goals and priorities. They see the bigger picture. Engaged employees see the bigger picture. They see everything, and so they work in tandem with the company. It's not just committed employees that are just waiting for the time to run out of the gates once it's maybe 4:30 or 5 o'clock. So why employee retention is key? Why employee retention is key? Employee retention is key. I mean, when I was working, I raised this issue several times with my company, and about the way staff were just leaving and nobody really paid attention. And my director just one day told me, Paul, do not worry, the same in the industry. It was very funny to me. So I have people as engaged as the man on the left hand side there, or they are engaged as the people dancing there. Create excitement. Employer branding helps you do that. So finally, we move to customer loyalty, how to really turn your customer-centric evangelists. Of course, we have said this really important. Look at the best companies. What do they do? The best companies go out of their way to ensure that the customers are really, customer evangelists. We really do. sing your praises to the ends of the world, to be able to tell anybody that gets to listen. And if customers are not loyal to you, it's very, very dangerous. I mean, take the case of United Airlines. I'm sure that you must have heard the story. If you are not heard about it, United brake guitars, how United really flung the ultimate customer test. So how to turn your customers into evangelists. There's so many things you need to do. Create various moments where you can bring your customers together. You can have what we call excuse me, have what we call getting back home, or all kinds of things that you can do to continually keep the customer engaged. Newsletters, special nights, special days. Bring customers into the company to see how you produce whatever products you produce. These are ways of getting the customer. Let the customers have a say. Let customers follow, and really know that any suggestions that customers provide will be implemented. Well, these days we have what we call Customers Week, and of course, Ken Blanchard has already said it's an oxymoron, because Customers Week is not, so it means that there are 52 weeks in a year, so you just dedicate 1 week for the customer, and 51 weeks is for who? Well, it might just be a way of saying it, but Customers Week is an oxymoron. And then why satisfied customers are very dangerous. Satisfied customers, yes, are very, very dangerous. Why is it so? Because satisfied customers can leave you at any given point in time. Only loyal customers will stay with you. Only loyal customers will stay with you. So satisfied customers, please, are very dangerous. Look for loyal customers. Loyalty is the only thing. That is what you see in the picture of the MD, CEO of Chesterfield, and goes out of his way to even blow the trumpet for his customers. Satisfied. So what you have is satisfied customers with more than a tasty sandwich. That is the MD, CEO of Chesterfield. Goes out there, play the saxophone, the trumpet for his customers, just to create that excitement. That's what we talk about. So you should crave in the customer. The only thing you should crave in the customer is customer loyalty. Customers will excuse me, please. Steve Jobs' way of customer loyalty and evangelism. Of course, we already talked about what Apple does. Apple products sell themselves. People go out of the way to get the products, and they keep selling themselves. They do not advertise so much. So that's the way. Steve Jobs' way of customer loyalty and evangelism. When once you get one Apple product, I mean, they have very loyal fans that will be willing to lay their lives and willing to stay for 6 hours on the queue to get Apple products. That is how. Enlist loyal customers in your game plan. Always do that. Enlist them, let them go, do viral marketing for you, let them into your strategic plans, and let them suggest ways, suggestion boxes, let them, newsletter, a lot of things that you need to do to really ensure that the customers are loyal to you and will buy your next products. In fact, let the customers create competition for designing of new services, design of new products. Let it be done by customers and choose the best design. By bending backwards to meet customers in that way, be able to really know what the customers really want. You cannot just say here back office and design products and then throw just across the fence for the customers. It will not really work. This is a apocryphal story of a woman, of a lady, a certain lady, who in her wish said, "Bury me in my Cadillac." Bury me in my Cadillac. It's a story that we like to end this presentation. That was her way of saying thank you to Cadillac. Really love Cadillac. And so my question is, will there be a customer that will say, bury me in your products? Once more, is there a customer amongst your customers that will be willing to say, bury me in your product, bury me in whatever products you are making? Of course, there are many people that ask their customers to bury them with their Harley Davidson because they are willing to tattoo Harley Davidson logo on their bodies. That is the way they really show they love their companies. I want to thank you for listening, and hope we see you again. Thank you very, very much. I hope that if you put this into practice, and you will become unstoppable as a company.